Hello everyone, this is CerdaWeek3 and this is my week 3 video digest. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. What is considered the acceptable carb intake range according to the National Academy of Science? And that range would be 45 to 65%. Anything under 45% is considered a low carb diet. Does it make sense to consider all low carb diets together? And if not, how would you divide them? I don't think it really makes much sense to group all low carb diets together because there's so much variation in the definition of what low carb actually is. So you can divide them into two categories: those that consider low carb less than 20%, such as Barron's study, which suggested that low carb was 18% carbs from calories, and anything between 21 to 40%. So what might a low-carb breakfast look like? Or I chose breakfast. So a low-carb breakfast for me would be an omelet with probably some bacon and coffee. Maybe put some cheese or ham in the omelet. I like to switch it up. So considering only studies where carb intake was less than 20% and longer than 6 months, what is the effect of these diets compared to low-fat or non-low-carb diets on each of the following LDL and triacylglycerides? LDL, there was no significant change. HDL increased, which is positive, and triglycerides decreased. Considering only studies where the carb intake was less than 20 to 40% and longer than 6 months, what is the effect of these diets compared to low-fat or non-low carb diets on each of the following LDL, HDL, and triacylglycerides? I'm sorry. So LDL and HDL, there was no significant change, and triacylglycerides were lowered. So do low-carb diets reduce markers of inflammation? And that depends on where your risk was initially when you started. So if you were already at low risk, maybe you saw an increase, and if you were of high risk, you most likely saw a decrease. What is the real or most important variable that determines if a weight loss diet may be effective, and how do you know this? So long-term adherence to the diet plan is key. If you are not consistent with the diet plan, you're not going to see the results that you would like to see. You're not going to see the results of the diet plan because you're not sticking to it. So it's very important that you are consistent and practice and follow that diet plan because that is what is ultimately going to determine whether or not you are successful. So for my something new, I chose a study that really caught my attention because of the title. It was an article titled, "Is a high carb diet poison to diabetes?" And it's an article from the UK, and the article was prompted because there was an article released in the Times that suggested that carbohydrates might be poisonous to diabetics, which ultimately raised some concern. So this article does a great job of explaining what low carb diets are and the effects on low carb diets on glycemic control and other cardiovascular disease risk factors. So this study showed that low carb diets, if diabetics follow low carb diets, they are at a risk of hypoglycemia and headaches and some other minor side effects. And overall, they are safe for diabetics to adhere to in the short term. So, but long term, there's not enough evidence to suggest that they are safe for diabetics long term. So yeah, so that is what I picked. My mom's a diabetic, so I thought that was a little interesting. I'm always looking for different things to show her and teach her on how to live a healthier lifestyle. So yeah, thank you very much.